road transport organizations, local authorities, teachers, volunteer workers, and not least the householders in the reception areas are all playing their parts splendidly.
Hello and welcome to episode 7 of A Skipper's Life. As you can see in our last engagement, we scuttled that ship with an explosive charge. And you can see that there's a lifeboat in the distance there. We are leaving them behind. There's actually 2 boats. One of them has survivors and the other one does not. We did provide the survivors some supplies. And we are returning to the square, patrol square. Let's take a look at where we're at, get a reading. So I took this reading just a moment before starting the stream. We are currently North Sea, grid AN46, not too far from the port of Hartlepool. The freighter that we sank was on a course south. I believe they were headed for the port of London. Roughly about 65, 70 kilometers outside the square. We need to return to the square for continue to get credit for our patrol here. And we reset the barometer so we can keep an eye on sea conditions. Something tells me that number is wrong.
If you are happy, you can do it.
6095.
And get that Riviera feeling. No need of being shy. The only limit is the ceiling. So dance, dance, dance as you please. Sing songs.
That one doesn't need to be in there. I wrote that yesterday. Basically saying the ship was sunk, but it's got the whole report here. Still getting used to that. But 6,000 tons, so they must have been pretty unloaded if it was only 6,000. Come to the Riviera. And I'll go to this periscope site because it's going to provide the chance to see that. It was an Empire Bell. It says 6,000 ton displacement. So the empty displacement was 5135, meaning that it was carrying 900 tons of goods, evidently. That's kind of interesting. I hadn't seen that one before. It's good to see that number pop up, though. It does usually pop up in the upper right-hand corner of the menu next to where we have the the travel 1,000 kilometers inside a marked area. Usually we have a ship minimum tonnage to sink there as part of our patrol goal. Since this is the first patrol, it's just telling us to go travel there. It's not having the additional load there that we need to sink. Alright, we'll check on some provisions and then we'll start time compressing here. Last time, since we sank a ship, even though it was just scuttling it, I provided basically some sausages, brats for the crew. Looks like everything's in order over here. Not sure I might be able to do this. There we go, that'll clear up a space in the storeroom for something if we decide to a ship we think has some provisions or something on the surface that we can reach, since we do not have a diving suit. Alright. Actually, let's go ahead and go over here and do some time compression. Arrow indicating our pressure is rising. Surface air pressure. Well, the number's going down now, and that arrow's still going up, so maybe there's a delay in that. Changes from the last game is running the a different mod to, and see the arrow just changed. So it indicates a rapid drop in pressure or a light drop. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be turning red or if that is a like a barely colored from yellow to and white, barely colored yellow from white. It does appear the pressure is dropping rapidly, so I think that's supposed to indicate a pretty rapid drop, almost red. So maybe an approaching storm system we have to deal with. But we'll take that as it comes. Odometer says we've gone about half the distance.
We'd like to tell you a story about a young girl, about 18 years old, about 5 feet 2, and about to go out. Now her mother, realizing it was her first time out with a young man, called her into the bedroom and said, "Minnie, you're all dressed up in your finery, your very best clothes, and you look beautiful. You're gorgeous. You're alluring.
You look swell, baby.
And now, Minnie, I want you to remember everything I've always told you. And above all, I want you to be very, very careful."
So that was pretty... That's pretty good there, 1843 for the time when it set sunset, so that's pretty good.
And she never let it go for any price. They searched the place from penthouse to the cellar.
Alright, so I have now returned to the square according to that.
Once they thought they saw it
Alright.
lying on a pillow, but they found it belonged to someone else instead. But she had to go and lose it.
So one of the things here about this is that we have, I have to go to sleep.
Endlich ein paar Stunden Pause. Zeit für eine Auszeit.
What's the situation here? I was in bed and now I'm not.
Endlich ein paar Stunden Pause.
Evidently I'm too tired to sleep. Okay, there we go. It's now going and doing what it's supposed to do. Stay at a station too long and eventually you just kind of can't do anything anymore. Game kind of sends you to bed typically. With it being nighttime, I don't anticipate there being too many problems. U-boats do well under cover of darkness, even later in the war, until the advent of a lot of ships outfitted with radar capability. Not sure why he has nobody with him. For the engines, right? Fuel is 78, that's okay. It looks like it's proceeding well. Do some more time compression here. A little bit of a glitch there, so no wonder something was loading.
bin sehr müde.
Alright, so he's now out. May need to do something about this mechanic here. Not having a whole lot to do. One way to solve that problem is to get into the menu with the crew and give him a task. And you can't call him a chief engineer at the same time, I don't believe. Evidently you can. This is the assigned values, but I think it's kind of useless if he's he's around fixing stuff. That's their priority. What I could do is augment right here and place a 9 there as well to keep that as a high priority, just like the engineer. But I think what I'll do is wait until I have another officer to do that, and we'll try to experience this as default with somebody who really doesn't know the diesel engines. Maybe when he gets his first promotion point, we start assigning him to the engines. Use that as a kind of a progression of that officer. I think that's a good way to go. Close to midnight. Waning gibbous, so it's dark out. One thing I do think we'll do is we will set course 270. Again.
Kurs 270 Grad.
Continue our patrol westward. Could go on a conserving fuel run here and go slower, but concerned we may end up outside of the square a little bit here. Right, it's our timestamp. Let's see. And a U-boat travels 1.85 roughly kilometers per knot. So if you're traveling at 10 knots, you travel about 18.5 kilometers in that hour. So with that being said, I'm probably about 6 hours from leaving the square at 10 knots. So I think I'm pretty good there. I'll just mark this warning here. You can see that. We'll continue on, and you can get some. You can use the map to mark off where contacts are relative to your position, and use the map tools to try to chase them down. The last one we didn't have too many problems with that because it was a single contact, and just want to demonstrate chasing them down. You can get a little more accurate if you start playing with the map tools. Of course, I don't have my relative position on here, and I don't have any of the hints, so really it's just relying on the radio report, or if it's from another ship or from BDU, or a hydrophone officer report on where that contact is relative to the course of the boat. You can plot that on here pretty decently, and you can track and estimate the rough position of a ship. If you assume you set a marker at the maximum distance that you can possibly hear them, and maybe drop that by 20%, so it's 80% of that distance, or just use the whole distance, whichever. And then you can kind of get a course bearing on where they may be. Now there is a window there. It says, they'll report 0 degrees, but you go over and look at the contact on the side by hovering over the propeller icon off to the right, and it may say 2 degrees. I apologize for that. It may say 2 degrees for something where it's they were only reported as 0 degrees. And they report in increments of 5s, so there's a 5-degree cone there that could be considered 0, and at a distance that can actually end up being quite large of an area that they could be in. So there's some, error that is introduced into that particular calculation of where the location might be or what their course may be. But you can usually, after a few hydrophone searches, and if you do it every half hour or every hour as you're following the ship along, you can usually get their course. You can, if you're careful, you can do it while changing course to close on the target potentially. After you once you figure out whether they're headed, south or north of your position, or in some cases east or west, depending on whether you're traveling north and south, and then you use that particular information to plot your course and chase them. So you can close out that distance. For the first measurement, the initial contact discovery, and the follow-up at 1 hour or whatever that increment is that you're choosing to use, 1 hour, half hour, 2 hours in some cases. Once you have that second increment, then you can make the adjustment on where changing course and try to close that distance on that target while continuing to locate them or determine their particular course. And that information can help you if you're in the deep waters away from ports, because they're not going to change course until they get near the ports, or if they have a reason to. So you can kind of determine their course based on that, which is useful information for a torpedo attack.
Jawohl, weiter geht's.
Alright, Captain saying he's ready for duty. So, in a way, I am saying I am ready for duty. I've had enough rest. These poor guys had to listen to music all night. That setting is correct. Oh, that's right. This allows me to get rid of one of these items. Give them canned bread or something to put on to make bratwurst. Something. We still have all of our torpedoes.
Bestätige.
Alrighty. 90% navigation correctness. We're good there. Traveled 50 kilometers roughly from our estimated position, so we're still inside the square. That's good. Night report. Days at sea 4. Down to 9 units diesel. Looks like clear skies, clear seas, slow wind, clear skies. Actually, six sky or sea, I can't remember. Wind condition 4, sea condition 3. Let's see, where's that compared to the other one? Sea state 4, wind 5. So cloud visibility, precipitation, okay. Or rain. I'm gonna have to look up some information here on this sea states, maybe, and do a short video describing the sea states. Still showing the total torpedoes. We got 2 Type 2 G7E Type 2 torpedo, first generation pistol. Only have 1 of those and 3 of the gas actuated torpedoes, Type 1, pistol 1. Pressure's higher, and again, 42 degrees Celsius is way too warm for this time of year, so this calculation's still not showing correctly.
C'était un petit, tout petit voilier, un joli bateau de pêche. On l'avait bâti d'un bout de papier et d'un vieux noyau de pêche. Dans un petit port entre deux roseaux, il se trouvait à la mare.
As a change of pace, we're listening to the radio out of Paris. Harder to understand for those who speak English, but you know, if there happens to be somebody who speaks French or would appreciate the experience of different cultures and radio at the time and what people might be hearing on a sub at the time, I guess this is for you. It's also interesting to get different reports. I don't speak French, so I wouldn't be able to translate that. There's some stuff I do speak in Spanish, so I'd be able to get that if we're listening to Radio Madrid, but I don't know if we can even receive Radio Madrid from our location.
Aussi bien le fleuve et les océans, ce n'est pas la mer à boire. Quel plaisir de voguer assis sur les ondes. Quel plaisir de pouvoir naviguer au gré de son désir. Le ciel est tout bleu et le vent léger. Tous ces braves gens